Hi, I'm Sparrow. Welcome to my new channel. I am not really a social media type of person, so this doesn't really come very naturally to me. Some of you might actually have seen accounts of mine in various places on like Discord or places like that, but maybe wouldn't know it's me. So I know that kind of happens, but I've been kind of thinking for a while it would be good to make a channel because there's a pretty big difference between the experiences of VK fans, especially overseas where you don't get a lot of access to lives, and the experiences of being a bangya in Japan. And I've been going to so many lives since I came to Japan as a college student 9 years ago. Every time I haven't been in Japan the entire 9 years, but all of the years that I have been here, I have been pretty active going to various bands, and it just kind of seemed a little bit of a waste not to have the information of these lives that I've been going to just, you know, only in my memory. So I figured, this would be a pretty good place to post some live reports and, whatever else I might feel like talking about. So just to get started, I feel like, what is my background? So that's a pretty good place. And I will just apologize up front if things are a little bit scattered because, like I said, I'm not really a social media kind of person, and I'm also not particularly tech savvy. This will not be an edited video. Hopefully eventually I might develop that skill, or you know get somebody that can help me with that. But in the meantime, if I have to edit a video, there's never going to be a video on this channel. It's too big of a hurdle for me here at the beginning. So sorry. But anyway, so my history as a VK fan first. When I was in high school, I spent 6 months at a high school in Shizuoka, and this was about 2005. And it was not a particularly large city, like certainly not to the extent of a city like Osaka even. It was very, very quiet back then. It has gotten quite a bit bigger since, but at the time, yeah, there wasn't really a whole big scene, although there were a few live houses, one of which I have actually been to see Mary, I think in 2019, it was 2017 or 2019, I actually traveled back to Shizuoka City to see Mary at Shizuoka Sanash, and that was a really good experience, but very cramped. That is a story for another time. But I came to Japan thinking, like, not realizing that J-rock was like just such a thing, let alone visual kei. And I was introduced to it by one of the other exchange students in my prefecture, which she came to Japan a big fan of visual kei, and then while she was here, she kind of jumped from VK to like Johnny's J-pop idol groups, which always kind of struck me as funny. But what really got me into VK, because of course, especially at the time in 2005, like Larukan Shieru and Gakto were both like massive at the time. And my host sister was a very big fan of Larukan Shieru. And so those were really my first introductions to Japanese music while I was here. But in right around, I would say like September, I was at a local CD store and they had a setup in the J rock section where you could listen to full albums and singles, like specific ones that were like new releases. And one that was up was New Chemical Rhetoric by Mary. And from the intro track, I was hooked. And I had three of my senpai at my high school were bangya. And so when I told them, oh, I heard this band Mary at, I think it was Surugaya, maybe is what the store was called. I don't remember. It's been a really long time. But I told them I'd heard this CD. I was very curious about them. And one of them actually had their first CD borrowed from Tsutaya in her backpack. She was returning it that day. And they were so eager to help me like develop my interest in VK. So she actually borrowed it again so she could make me a copy. And she copied the CD book. She wrote by hand all of the track names on the back sheet in the little like empty jewel case. And it was just absolutely the sweetest thing. And yeah, so that was really where I got started. And then I was very active in like live journal communities, WordPress blogs. There was the J Rock Revolution forum, I believe, when I came back to the US that I was very active in. And over time, like I also had encountered some other bands while I was in Japan, like Cassius by Gazette had just come out, and then I also managed to grab a few like CDs and stuff from used CD stores, like Malice Miseru and Piero was a big one. And so over exploring those bands more and also just downloading a lot of stuff off of LiveJournal, I I maintained my interest for many, many years, though it waned a bit around 2013. Around that time, I basically was just following Mary because they were my favorite and really no other band until I came back to Japan in 2017. And that was when I went to my first VK Live. It was a three-man between Meri, Skekyo, and Inugami Sakastan. And it was at Misono Universe in Osaka. And let me tell you, that live house really set my expectations much higher than they should have been for VK live houses. Because if you've never been in that live house before, it is huge and it is gorgeous. Seriously, it's something to see. But since that time, I've gotten to see Meri so many times, although I kind of fell off after Kenichi retired, and that's something that I can go into more detail in the future, because as you can imagine, I was really into them for 15 years, and I was very active going to their lives and in their fan club for about 3 or 4 years. And so I have a lot of history. I have a lot of things that I could cover just talking about Meri. And then during COVID, I would go to them. I would go to Reitenichigram no Gosan. Gosan, they have a lot of notoriety. And they're very much a you love them or you hate them. And I loved them. I discovered them in 2017. That was the first time I saw them. And to say that I was a fixture at their lives throughout COVID is an understatement. the singer absolutely could recognize me in the audience, even with masks on, because I was always there, and I was the Gaijin fan. So, it's kind of stand out. But yeah, so that's another one that if I was going to talk about Golsan in general, that would be something to give its own video, because that there's a lot there. And yeah, so since I've come back, I don't really go to see Golsan as much anymore. And I've really been exploring different bands. So as of last year, I would say that the bands that I currently am seeing the most have been Dolly, Chaos, Gatocho, and while they were still active, Lyrica. And I've seen a whole bunch of other ones too. I've found that I really enjoy if the YouTube algorithm gives me something interesting, then I like to just listen to it, put it away, and then buy a ticket for their one man, and then just going to it relatively blind and just seeing if it's something that a band that I want to continue to go to regularly. That's what happened with Gatocho. Chaos was a little bit different because I actually got their flyer after going to see Piero last year. But they're also Mazari, and they're not VK, but they are a VK inspired idol group. And they're another one that I saw one of their videos, I thought it was interesting, and just went to it relatively sight unseen and really, really enjoyed it. So they're another group that I would absolutely love to talk about sometime. And then, okay, what I plan for this video, or plan for this channel, and it probably won't just be me. I have been in talks with my friend Sarah that she and I are probably going to do this as kind of a joint venture. I think it'll just be more fun that way. And so sometimes we might post videos separately, and other times we might post them together. But overall, like, what do I want to do on this channel? Like, a big thing, like I said, is live reports. I want to go in depth about the lives that I'm going to go to in the future. And then I also want to talk about some of the lives that I've already been to. And of course, I won't be able to go into as much detail on those because I've forgotten things since then. I've definitely slept since then. And so we'll see. But I've gone to so many cool things over the past year, 9 years really. And so yeah, I want to share that with you guys, and hopefully this will become more natural over time. But I guess talking to a camera, it's a skill. And the other really big thing that I want to do with this is I really want to give my thoughts on like bangya culture and my own sort of philosophy on things. I really want to do a video talking about Furitsuke and talking about like what I would say is like the philosophy of Saizen, because these are things that I know a lot of people might know that it exists, but they may not really understand if they haven't really immersed themselves in the bangya subculture in Japan, how important and how meaningful they are. And so yeah, that's something I've wanted to talk about in depth for a long time, and so I have that on the back burner for later. And so have about 45 seconds until we're at 15 minutes, and so the last thing I really want to do here is just let you know what I have coming up soon. So the next event I have isn't live, but it is Mazari. They're doing a collaboration with my favorite kimono brand and Iroka. And so I have tickets for the talk, and fingers crossed I'll be able to get maybe the yukata, but definitely I want the obi. It's really cool looking. And it's a good opportunity, I think, to get to wear my butterfly yukata from them. So I'll try to post photos or something in over the next week or so. But on Sunday, I accidentally double booked myself. Fortunately, it is possible to do both. Probably not all of both, because they're just a little too far away and just a little too close together. I will probably have to leave the first one a little bit early if I want to make it to the second one before the start time. But if I can, I would really like to try do both. So the first one is a band called Nicholas, and I don't really know much about them. They're a band that a couple weeks ago I got recommended one of their videos on YouTube, and I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, I just wanted to go check them out, see what I think. And then the second one is Akai Yurei. And Akai Yurei I have seen multiple times, mostly because they perform a lot at Taiban with Kaos, and they're delightful. I really have enjoyed going to their lives. And they recently did one where you could do a cleansing ritual to dispose of unwanted Cheki from past Oshis. And that was a really fun live. A little bit of a sneak preview for talking about that one. I did catch something that I did not keep. Kirby has these braids that he attaches to his head, and he threw those into the audience. One of them hit me, and when I reached down to see what had hit me, and I had this sweaty braid in my hand, and yeah, no, I did not keep that. I did not want it. But my acquaintance, my friend, had a friend that was up in the front who's a huge Kirby fan, so I gave it to her, and she was absolutely thrilled. So, yeah, hopefully, hopefully this was a good intro, a good jumping off point, and overview about me and also what I want to do here. So, I will hopefully see you guys in the next one. Bye.